GitHub and my code in my computer
Just
as
gonna
well.
get to the. So have you plugged in?
I've plugged in.
Your resolution is agreed, so that's good.
If it actually shows up. Last time it wouldn't show up. I'm meant to get us with a bypass with security stuff, but
Yeah, it's this thing with the Mac.
yeah.
Ooh, wow, that's very close. Sorry. See, it's black. So this is the idea that this has this weird copyright thing that doesn't make it maps. Have you tried the HDMI? This is where Robo.
I know, I meant to get one, but I was running late, so I didn't.
So easiest thing that we've done before is create a circle.
Yeah, it's already some calls.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's already running. So that's not
So if you pull that out, you go to dial.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that should all work.
So are we only using this like today or we have
No, I thought it was.
so
Can you quickly install some? You have it? Okay. Oh, actually, you should have because you confidently use it. Yeah, I mean, I started to close. Dylan, you know this? He's right over there. Let's not mention sound might be going up.
A menos fosse introduzido. It's like it might be an REA area. So the same line, isn't my yeah, well, it's nice to be seen. It's not like, people need, they just gotta wait and like, and then it's a good bench.
Show some names. No,
Legitimate rule at Coding.
also just the speaker, the microphone.
Oh, you're taking some photos. Then you slide.
Would you mind copying? Can you use it's getting more online.
Oh, but when you share, you should try sharing something.
Yep. So just put this in.
So you,
Yeah.
just enjoy reading.
Sorry about this. Usually we have things a little bit more organized. Up to
You're in. Share.
always fine. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is maybe- Just enjoy.
Yeah. No, So whatever, you can just share your desktop or share it with your application. Alright, cool. So you'll see. Here you go. So good.
Okay. Thanks, Daniel.
Now we've got this mic. Do you want a handheld mic?
I think it depends on because what they want, I'm go with them.
What would you like?
Otherwise, it's fine. Okay, people. Thank you all for coming. We'll get started in about 5 minutes. So if you need to go to the toilets, grab a drink, anything like that, now's the time.
Yeah, so I need to. Just so much easier. Yeah. Especially when you're and then you say actually felt it too. You also so I'm supposed to have
Okay. Welcome, everybody. I see a lot of faces today. That's awesome. Quickly find a seat, and in the meantime, I'm just going to get started. So thank you all for coming to, let me start my slides from the first slide instead of the last one. I've heard that is useful. Welcome everybody to the 139th Melbourne AWS User Group Meetup. It's been a while. I can see some faces of people who've been here for a long time. And today we've got a couple of wonderful new to our speakers. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they have to say. But as always, first, in the spirit of reconciliation, the Melbourne AWS User Group acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. Our in-person meetup is being held on the lands of the Wurundjeri people, and I wish to acknowledge them as the traditional owners of this land. We pay our respects to their elders past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Just as important, we have a code of conduct. Short version is here on the screen for you. Long version is on that URL. Very short version is be kind to each other. If you think somebody is in breach of the code of conduct, reach out to myself, Jason, as the organizers who are present here today. Or if you don't want to do that in person, you can always reach out over Slack or through the form on the website. We take anything like this happening very serious. So please, yeah. You can find us on the web with a website with a very easy to remember URL, LinkedIn, Mastodon, YouTube. If you're looking at the live stream right now, obviously you know the URL for that. Always possible to reach out and things like that. Plan for tonight, the introductions, that's the boring part I'm going through now. Just have to sit through it a couple more minutes and then we're done and you get the fun stuff. The fun stuff starts with our What's New section, where Jason will take us through all the things that AWS announced in the last month. So it's all this, yeah, all the cool stuff. There may be Gen AI stuff in there. I don't know. maybe AWS has released 1 or 2 things about that. And after that, we'll dive straight into our wonderful talks. This starts with Kate, who will talk about building a serverless pipeline using AWS CDK and ECS. And then we'll hand it over to Dylan, who will be representing Australia in AWS Cloud Computing Competition, which sounds awesome. And I'm sure we all love to hear about what that's all about. At the end of the night, then we'll have a short marketplace. Basically, this is people who are hiring can hold up their hands. As always, we do it this way around, so that if you are looking for a new job and you're sitting next to your manager, you don't have to awkwardly say, hey, yeah, I don't like this guy. So that's why we do it that way. And after that, we'll go home, chat outside or whatever for a bit. But that's it. Questions. Questions are always important at a meetup. We ask you, though, to respectfully wait until the end of a presentation to ask you questions, unless the speaker invites you to do so earlier. This is mostly because it can be quite annoying to a speaker if you ask a question that will literally be answered on the next slide. Of course, if the speaker themselves says, hey, please ask any questions, feel free to do so. The other thing with the questions is hold up your hands and please wait until a mic is brought so that your question can be heard by the online audience as well. Oh, and obviously, if you are not present in person, you can still ask the same questions in Slack or in the live stream chat. Now, I want to thank our sponsors, our gold sponsor, Mentor Group, and our silver sponsor, CIVO. And of course, not to forget our venue sponsor, NAB. It's because of these 3 wonderful sponsors that we can run this meetup every night. Wow. I don't think I'd survive if I had to do that every night. Every month. And yeah, provide food and drinks and all that stuff. So as always, thank you for our sponsors. I mentioned Slack earlier. If you are not on our Slack yet, it's a big group. It has over 1,000 people in it. It's not always as active, but there are quite a few discussions going on in general. If you want to get involved with the meetup, we're always looking for speakers. So please, if you are interested in speaking, reach out to one of us. Sponsors, we're not actively searching at the moment, I believe, but we can always use some. And volunteers, if you want to help around with things, then that's always good. Some upcoming events. You may have heard of this one, reInvent. It's really awesome to go to. It is in Vegas. Flight tickets are as expensive as just the venue as the ticket of the event. So make sure that you convince your boss to send you, because otherwise, or alternatively, there is something called the All Builders Welcome Grant. This is a grant that basically pays your flight, hotel, and the tickets that you can apply for if you're within the first 5 years of your professional cloud experience. There may be some other requirements.
And also, if you're specifically from any background underrepresented within technology, so specifically women, people with different cultural backgrounds, people with sexual diversity, mental diversity, all those kinds of things, the All Builders Welcome Grant is a really great way to get a chance to go to reInvent. They have a whole bunch of stuff as well to help you do networking, and really just, it's an absolute kick to anyone's career who gets a chance to do so. So if you're interested, please do search All Builders Welcome.
Yep. Thanks, Stephen, for the extra details. Other things coming. a long time in the future, but I care about this one because I'm one of the organizers together with Alan at the front there, who is actually running the whole thing. Next year, we're trying to organize Community Day in Brisbane. This is going to be an awesome event. Everybody should come to it. But it is in Brisbane, so you'll have to fly. Or walk, but yeah, then start walking now. But closer to home, the AWS Programming and Tools Meetup will be on again next week. This time it will be about distributed tracing. These are always fun workshops to attend, so I recommend having a look at it. Women in Cloud, organized by Kathy here at the front. It's running tomorrow. It's about Terraform. So it may not entirely be AWS, but it's applicable to AWS anyway. So I'll forgive you this once. The serverless meetup will be back on the 19th of September. No speakers, or I think it's not been announced yet, so use this as a way to block out your calendar. And that's all the meetups at the moment. So I'll hand it over to Jason now to tell us all about what's new.
Thank you. All right, so we've actually got a couple of new things in Melbourne this month. So managed workflows for Apache Airflow and API Gateway WebSocket APIs. So yes, slowly starting to get some more parity in Melbourne, which is good. Sydney got some new instance types, the C7i Flex instances. So that's about it for the what's new in this region specifically. And all right, so in general, in the world of containers, registry creation templates now generally available. So doing stuff with ECR, replicating this way to sort of have your configurations all customized and pushed out that way as part of the creation of your new repo. ECS now supports Amazon Linux and others, on-premises container workloads. So your ECS Anywhere now has a few different Linux versions, so you can have a look at the announcements for all the different types that came out there. AWS Private CA now supports ARM architecture in Kubernetes. So basically your Graviton processors. So if you're using private CAs, you can now use that with your Graviton-based Kubernetes. Right, machine learning. So there's a whole lot of new Amazon Q. So and things that have come out. So Q Business launches support for cross-region AWS IAM identity center access. So basically, if you're running Q Business, it used to have to be in the region where your IAM identity center was living. Now it can access identity centers in other regions, so you don't have to run your Q Business in that same region where your SSO is. The new Metalama is now generally available in Bedrock. Q introducing support for scanned PDFs and embedded images in PDFs. So you no longer have to run your OCR on your PDFs before throwing them into Q. So it takes out an extra step if you're using that. Guardrails can now detect hallucinations and safeguard apps using any FM. So that's I suppose that's probably one of the good benefits of your Bedrock is sort of having that contained environment. So now being able to add those extra guardrails for any FM is nice. And knowledge bases for Bedrocks now supports advanced RAG capabilities. So yeah, previously there's relatively basic options that you had with your knowledge bases. So pulling from your corporate data. So now there's some extra advanced capabilities in generating RAGs off your corporate data using Bedrock. Networking. So a couple of new things, not really directly for our region. So bring your own IPs. There are some extra registries that you can use now, but they mostly seem to be in sort of other countries' things, but that's expanded now. Registrars that you can pull your IPs from for your BYO IP. And Direct Connect now announces native 400 gig dedicated connections for a couple of providers in the US. All right, so some new things in serverless. Step Functions now supports customer managed keys. So yeah, that's nice if you can utilize your own CMKs within Step Functions and you're not just limited to AWS native ones. Lambda now supports snap start for Java functions on ARM64 architecture. Again, we're talking Gravitron. So if you're running your Java functions there, you can push that out using your cheaper Gravitron based instances. Some extra caching options for OpenSearch serverless, which speeds up the caching time, and that also makes things a bit cheaper. SQS has a couple of new CloudWatch metrics for your FIFO queues. And Lambda now has new controls to make it easier to search, filter, and aggregate. So basically, they've announced sort of a JSON-based logging for that. So that gives you some more flexibility in your logs. Security. Deck KMS increases the default service quotas for cryptographic operations. So if you're doing lots of KMS crypto, that's your defaults and up there, and one less service to increase. So this one's a little bit interesting. So Q Developer was running with the same session durations, timeouts that you had for all the other identity center options. So that's now separated. So you can have a different session timeout for Q Developer than what you would have set for the rest of your identity center. And Secrets Manager answers open source release of Secrets Manager agent. So, all right, Devon Ops. I'll read through this and then I'll talk about the glaring omission today. So you can now build event-driven applications using CloudFormation GitSync status changes. So how many people actually use GitSync with CloudFormation? Yeah. I mean, I could think maybe some edge cases, but hey, if you're using that way, then there's some. Yeah. 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 So there's that option. This is one that I love. AWS Backup now supports the EBS snapshot archive. So You might have remembered if you watched a little while back, I was talking about some services that don't get a whole lot of love, and DLM, Data Lifecycle Manager, was one of those. Surprisingly, it gets a whole lot of backup related features before AWS backup. It's had this for a while, so I've been waiting for it to come to AWS backup. So that's great. And code build timeout limit has now been increased to 36 hours. If you've got something that's like massively long running, you can, I'm not sure. Yeah, it was still a reasonable time. Like it was quite a few hours, but yeah, just, sorry. Yeah, yeah. So we know stuff. Now, the one glaring omission from the DevOps tooling, probably a lot of people may have heard that, is code commit is now basically a zombie. If you're running it, it's still alive. If you're not, it's dead. So yeah, so that's sort of a big one. There's also a few other services that have been announced that are going away. So,
They haven't been announced. That's the problem.
well, yeah, actually, that was the big problem. They haven't been like announced well. So I think with the others,
Yeah, I have the others. So the others were S3 Select,
S3 Select,
Cloud Search,
Cloud Search,
Cloud9,
Cloud9,
Simple DB,
Simple DB.
finally, Forecast, Data Pipeline, and Course Code.
Yeah. So yeah. So Jeff Budd did actually have a tweet with those other services. So yes, if you're currently using, I mean, Code Commit is probably the big one. Probably not a whole lot of people crying about most of the other services, but yeah. So if you're using Code Commit, it will still work and operate fine. If you want to use Code Commit in something new, that ain't happening. So yeah, something to have a look at. And if you go to the Code Commit portal page, there's a nice link to how to move off Code Commit to other Git providers. So
current
yeah.
repositories keep existing.
Yeah, current repos will still work the way that they are. So you can still update code, add new users to them, all that sort of. So anything that currently exists will still work. It's only, say, if you're going into a new account that you don't already have code commit, then you won't be able to create repo there. I'm not exactly sure because there hasn't been a whole lot of information released whether you can still create new repos if you already have a repo in an account. That seemed to be right. Okay, yeah. So yes, you can. So if you're already using it in an account, it will still then operate as normal. So you can create new repos and do all the stuff. You just won't be able to create them in new accounts. So yeah, so that's probably the biggest what's new from today. Sorry. I don't know. I mean, there's like, I think like it's never really been as full featured as a lot of the other third-party providers, but it's still very much had its place, especially if a lot of people wanted to keep things in-house or within the accounts. And yeah, so I do not know what they're thinking to include that. I mean, it's, yeah. Yeah. yeah, there has been very little information about why or even what. It sort of came out of someone on a repost that had some issues and got something back from support and then posted that, and that's sort of blown up from there. So yeah, the comms on that has been poor, really poor. So Cloud9 has been, or yeah, they've, they've had that. So for those watching, the question was around like, does that tie in with other code type services? Yeah, it looks like they've sort of have been culling a couple of some of their sort of smaller, more obscure things that didn't really have a lot of take up. But yeah, code commit's the one that sort of everyone's scratching their head on, because while it may not have been massive, especially compared to your GitHub, GitLabs, etc., it still is used by quite a lot of people. So yeah, that announcement is confusing. All right, moving on so that we don't in preview. So there's a whole bunch of Bedrock stuff that's coming out. I'll just whip through these so we don't cut into our speakers' time too much. Yeah, lots of new things that are coming out for Bedrock in preview. So if you're doing a lot of stuff, check that out. Oh, and yeah, that's it from the What's New, and we'll hand it over to our speakers. Thanks. Oh, hang on, sorry. One question. Yep. No, I don't have that info. So that was where was that? Here we go. Yeah. So basically, the way that it's more around the way that they're doing their caching now. So they've increased they've added smart caching so that it just speeds up the caching, makes things some more efficiency. So it's more cost savings from the efficiencies that they've got with the new caching models. So not so much a price change. Yep. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Then, in that case, I would like to call up our very first speaker. That is Kate. Kate works as an AWS cloud engineer at our lovely sponsor Mentor Group, and she's not wearing her golden jacket. She has a golden jacket though, which means that she holds all AWS certifications. And she's also previously featured on AWS She Builds livestream. So I will hand over to you.
Thank you. So, hi everyone, I'm Kate Fu, and I'm very excited today to share about like building serverless pipeline using AWS CDK and Amazon ECS. So, yeah, something about myself. So, I'm a cloud engineer at Mantel Group, and yeah, that picture is me. Was very happy when I got my AWS Golden Jacket this January. And the picture on the very, I don't know, left or right, my right is my boss, Tito Leo. So yeah, that's something about me. And just go back to what we are building today. So before going to building, talk about the pipeline, serverless pipeline, CDK and ECS, I want to talk about for the foundation infrastructure is what we have. So we already have like 3 advanced accounts. Grid tab, cloud, and shared. So it already set up using Amazon organization and already bootstrap. So mean we can use we can deploy our cloud formation stack there, and we will host our code in GitHub repos, multiple GitHub repos. So is a requirement of our pipeline today. So first is about the CI/CD. So it like seamlessly deploy infrastructure from dev to prod. And the second is what the backdrop do. So the backdrop actually just process the data. It gets data from the EFS, Elastic File System, process it and put it in the S3 bucket, and it will automatically run once at night. And we need some monitoring as well. So we need a log so we can troubleshooting when when an issue, when there is an issue, and we need a like notification mechanism. So we will not be notified when there is any like issue with the job fail or anything. And the last will be the performance. So we will have the main app running on EC2 and the persistent data stored in EFS. So the backdrop should not will not like affect the performance of the EC2 instance. There's something about the requirements. So let's go first. We need the CI/CD setup. So we have a 3 AWS account already. And to set the CI/CD, so we will go first. We need to create an IAM role. So for the CI/CD to, for the GitHub runner to assume. And we need the VPC. We need to create a VPC in the same account. So after that, we can launch the EC2 instance in this VPC. And this will be our GitHub and like I said, our GitHub runner. So from that, the GitHub runner can assume the role and deploy AWS resource in which account we choose in the workflow later. So that's about the diagram. So in this step, what we will have. Oh, can I share my screen? Can I share my whole letter? Please stop.
It's in the whole laptop. Yeah.
Sorry, just 1 minute. I don't know how to share my whole laptop, so I just open everything I need.
Stop that.
Oh, I need to stop that.
Yeah.
So in here, we will have our code and host in multiple GitHub repos. So first, we need to deploy our IAM role. So we will have this. We'll have this one. So we will I build it using AWS CDK, so we can deploy to IAM role to our 3 AWS accounts. So I have like IAM role here, so we will deploy it using AWS CDK because our account already bootstrap. So next we will deploy our AWS CK VPC here. So we will have the config file. So in this one, I have a sample 1, sample 2, and sample 3. It will be sample 1 is a dev, sample 2 is a prod, and sample 3 is a cell count. So we will deploy to sample 3 in the config for our VPC. And from there, we define what resource we need here. So we will create a VPC with 3 subnets. And we have a knuckles, we have a root table, internet gateway and net gateway, and then we can tag the resource. After we have all the VPC and we have the IAM rule, we can deploy our GitHub runner. So our GitHub runner will be our EC2 instance and deploy in the private subnet of our VPC in our AWS set account. And to register it as GitHub runner, we have to get the token. So I have this one, for example. This one, we just go to get the token from here. And depend on the Mac or Linux or Windows, we can choose like the way I want to install, but the token will be here. So after we have our VPC, our EC2 instance run, and we will go next to the main app. So the main app will run on EC2 instance and the persistent data stored in EFS Elastic File System. So we can share the data between among like EC2 and then after like our EC2 even in terminated, we still have like store data in there. And then with the new EC2 launch, we can marry it to our EFS. So in this one, we will have our pipeline already. So we will deploy our VPC in our dev account and then prod account. And then we will have the VPC endpoint because we want to use a KMS to encrypt our file data in address. And then our S3 bucket. So our EC2 instance may put data in S3 bucket as well. And then we can have a CloudWatch log to store log for our from EC2. So to make sure that the public service and the resource in the VPC will not expose to the internet, we will use our VPC endpoint. So we'll create our VPC endpoint here as well, and then the same from dev to prod. And in here, we will have like 2 pipelines. So the first will be non-master, the second will be master. So different is for the non-master, we will only deploy to dev. So when we commit and we push data or just like create a merge, it will deploy to like dev only. But after we merge, so we have on master branch, it will deploy to dev and then automatically deploy to prod account. And so in here now, the next step we will deploy using first, it should be like VPC. So we'll create a VPC and we have like GitHub runner now. So we just need to define the workflow. So the workflow will like we have a dev step. So the dev step will deploy to our sample 1, which is our dev account. And after that, we'll deploy to our prod account here. Only when it's on master. And the first step passed. And next will be our VPC endpoint. So our VPC endpoint, we will have config. We will list all the gateway interface and gateway endpoint and interface endpoint here for depend on the account. And then in this one, we'll deploy to each account. And then we will have the workflow as well in this one. So the workflow will be kind of the same with the VPC. We will have like deploy step, and then we will have deploy to prod step. So it will look like this in our pipeline. So I'm on the main branch. So it will get brand name and then deploy to dev and deploy to prod. And the same for VPC endpoint. And next should be our main app, including EC2 and EFS. So we will have the new repo, which is using AWS CDK EC2 and EFS. So we'll have the same workflow, dev to prod, and then we'll configure, we will define all the results we need in this one. So in this one, we will have our our EC2 instance. So we get the VPC here, and then we define all results we need, like security group and for the EC2, security group for the EFS, and then we can get an EC2 role, and then we have to mount the EC2 to the EFS, and that step will be done in our user data. So we just use Amazon EFS package and get the file system ID and mount it here. And we can use the access to like put it in our S3 bucket created in CDK toolkit stack, and it seamlessly deployed for us. So now we will have our EC2 and our EFS. So the next step will be building our batch job. So our batch job, we need to get the EFS system ID. So in here, I export or save and output the EFS file system ID name. So it will be used in the next step. So that's the main app. And now we go for the last one, which will be the batch job. So let's say the batch job will need to trigger automatically once at night. So we will use our event bridge to trigger it. And then the batch job should not affect the performance of our EC2 instance. So, and then I think the job will take like around 2 hours. So Lambda is not an option. So we give it Fargate task here. We don't want to go with Fargate service, or ECS service will be really long run. And then we just go with Fargate task. So the Fargate task here, so we'll get the Docker image from our ECR, it's stored in our shell account. It gets the Docker image, and then it launches Fargate task, and then it mount to the EFS here. So in this step, we need to get the EFS system ID from our main app, and then mount it here, and then it run the job. It will like push the data in S3, log in CloudWatch, of course, and then we can have a notification. So whenever the job fails, it will notify an SNS topic. And then from there, we can go to Slack or email or SMS. And the same pipeline we'll have for non-master and master. And then it will go from dev account. And if on master, it go for the product account. And because we have an SNS in the public service, so we will need to update our VPC endpoint here at SNS interface in our VPC and in our VPC endpoint, so encrypted. So make sure that from SNS and Fargate will not expose to the public internet. So let's go back to our GitHub. So in here, we will have only VPC endpoint. We need to get the SNS here. So just add it in our config file, SNS, and then just push it into our GitHub, and then automatically deploy. And the last repo should be like AWS CDK ECS, a batch job. So the result will be created in this one. So in this one, we will have our bucket. Assume we already create a bucket, and I already have like ECR repo set up. And then I already shared from the share account or share with the dev and pro account already. So on the permission already set. So in here, we just create an role. We will need the execution role and the task role. And then after that, we will have our task definition. The import file system right here will get from import value, and then I get the name of the stack. So I will get the ID of the EFS file system here. And then we can adjust that definition to what we want, and put the file system ID here. And yeah, so add mount, security group, and then we will need to add it to target of our event bridge. So this one will for SNS. So we filter any failed when we run, and then we'll send to our SNA topic here. So that's all about the code to define our resource. So now go to our pipeline. So in our pipeline, we will have some more stuff. The first one, just like get branch, that's fine. Second one will be build and test, that's fine. The next one will be build the Docker image. So the Docker will be based on the Docker file we put in here. So we will define the cluster Docker image here, and then we will build based on that. And then after this step, we will log into ECR code, and then we build and tag and put the image to our ECR in this step. And then after we have all the custom Docker image created, put to ECR, we have the tag. We go to our deploy step. First, we go for dev, and then we just like put in our main stack. I'll just put our main stack here because I only have one stack, so I can get the EFS file system. And put in credential. So credential here, I just need to put in our role name because in our IAM role, I already have defined the role and then created using GitHub OIDC, you mean OpenID Connect Provider, and get a role and then set up so permission for all of my repos start with this one and define the permission for it. So that's about the code. Let's see the pipeline. So this is a pipeline would look like. Go. So with the pipeline for the main branch, so I have to just get branch name, build and test, build Docker, deploy that, and deploy to prod. And if I am on just dev branch or non-master branch, or not, we will not have our deploy to prod here. So just get branch, build and test, build Docker, and deploy to that. So yeah, that's all about my small demo. Thank you very much. Oh yeah. So if there any question, I'm happy to. Yeah.
Maybe not related to your specific job, but just a general discussion. To do the job, your scripts need to have extremely high level of permissions over AWS resources in all accounts, in all S3, KMS, what else? Don't think it's a big security risk to have such a high level.
You mean the IAM role or the
code to execute and to deploy all this infrastructure?
Yeah, we have, but we do have use the VPC endpoint, so we can like limit it in the VPC endpoint policy. So you can limit it so only accessed by the VPC, like from the VPC itself, or like do it in the policy. So I believe we have VPC endpoint, and we can have like use IAM rule for the EC2 as well. So we can define some rule like policy like that. Only we rule can access this, and then we can do like.
So the safeguards are in AWS itself.
In this demo, I don't deploy any safeguard or any like security. I just have CloudWatch and then VPC endpoint with the policy, and we have IAM role. And what else? Yep, the VPC we like have some limit with NACO and security group. But yeah, I haven't deployed any safeguard in this demo. But yeah.
Just want to understand, so you can run your scripts and do changes in both dev environment, prod environment. Is it correct?
Oh yeah, you mean the GitHub? Yeah, Brandon. Yes. So Yes, we can deploy a manual approve step from dev and prod. So we can use the environment. So we can deploy like, and we can list a list of people that like, or team that can approve. But your GitHub accounts might be like the personal GitHub account do not have that option, but we do have the option to create like manual step, and then after like approve, then you can deploy to it. It's not like straightforward, but like a manual step approval between dev and prod.
Just, let's say I'm a hacker and I stole your credentials to access your GitHub account. What could I do in your company AWS accounts?
We can have like manufacture to like auto to like NFA to like for the GitHub account as well. So I guess it's like secure the GitHub account.
Okay, so you think hacker would not get security credentials?
We cannot guarantee like anything 100% these days. Yeah, but
I saw that got secretly exposed to Git.
I'm sorry.
You've got a secret key exposed to the Git repository.
Secret key? No, I'm using the IAM role, and then you mean in the workflow? I can like check. I don't think, yes, say variable. I set up variable, but like to get the AWS account ID, but I do not put any secret key in there.
What's the thought of having the flow of going production all one go? Because I would have thought you would have had 3 separate pipelines, one for dev, one for testing, one for pod. So whatever you call it, there's no control over going to test the production in one fell swoop. You've got the flow of one, 2, 3, but have you, I mean, obviously you've got communities that trigger based on check-ins and so forth, whatever, based into say, test, whatever, pod.
Yeah, we can add a manual approve step here, but I'm using my personal GitHub account, so the environment to set up the manual step is not available for personal GitHub account.
What I'm saying is, generally speaking, is definitely have 3 separate paths. You don't have this one big flow because you've got that control.
So you mean like we have like set up like different pipeline, and then you pass the environment in? Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
One breaks, yeah, so that's fine. We've got all the tests and things and whatnot going through there, but that doesn't always mean that sometimes interaction testing, UI testing, that type of stuff. It's hard to control that type of mechanism.
Yes. I think we have option like between like seamlessly deploy from dev to prod, and we have option like if we want to deploy to prod, we have like manual create a pipeline and we pass the environment in, and like not everyone have that like permission to do that. But like for this one is just backdrop, and then it's not a fake like really yes. So just like for this demo only. So but I think it depends on the context.
Thank you, Kate. You start there. Oh. No. Cool. Okay. Thank you very much. Then next up is Dylan. Dylan is studying for, Dylan is studying for Bachelor of ICT at Swinburne, and he's working as a technician doing some AWS stuff. That's very clear. He also got obviously involved with World Skills, and I'm sure you'll tell us all about that. So, welcome, Dylan.
Thank you very much, Arjun. This will be. We'll just do this. You're here. Yep, beautiful. Okay, so my name is Dylan. I actually competed in a cloud computing competition and won 2 of them. Yeah, the focus was on AWS cloud. Before we start, a bit about me. Yep. I'm a university student studying computer science, majoring in software development. I know it said ICT before. I only transferred last week. So that would probably explain that. Doing some cloud computing in that as well. I did a cloud computing unit, but I also do have some of the AWS certification. I have the Solutions Architect Associate. I got involved in world skills competitions through TAFE. I came through the TAFE setup at RMIT. I also did that at RMIT when I was doing a diploma of IT. That was in cloud engineering. Also did a certificate 4 in cybersecurity before that. I have a passion for cloud computing, development, research, and teaching others how to improve their skills. I want to eventually go into a teaching/research role at a university, doing IT, computer science related stuff in that field. I've been programming since I was 10 years old, started with C#, also done almost 2.5 years of IT in the workplace as well, particularly quality assurance and technician roles. I want to go into that stuff. Sorry, this is my first presentation, so I'm a bit shaky. And yeah, I have those certifications as listed here. Maybe we'll do it from this angle, make it a bit easier. Have several certifications, as I said before. I have the AWS SA Associate. I have a CCNA. I've also got the Azure Fundamentals Certificate. I'm a 90s rock music fan, also collect retro video games, and I'm also a member of the Melbourne Cocoa Heads user group as well. Now, this is going to look like a really bad photo, and excuse the camera management, it's absolutely shocking. This is my retro game console collection, just on a little side note. There's a few consoles there that you can have a look at if you like, or ask me later, because I think we all want to go into the really good stuff, don't we? How did I get into IT? This is a question I get asked all the time. As mentioned before, did it when I was 10. I learnt C#. That was self-taught. I pretty much was one day looking at my dad coding this little for loop on, Dad, how do you do all the numbers up to infinity? It's like, okay. So then I thought, well, he won't teach me. I'll go on YouTube. I got into IT mainly from watching my dad. He's been a dev and architect for about 25 years. Also done some cloud work as well. He suggested that I get my CCNA just as a starting point. Did that when I was 18. Funny story. So I almost dropped out of high school. And at the end of the day, I think I've done all right because the problem was I was almost going to drop out of high school. And then his comment to me was, don't. We'll drop you into a TAFE level. There's a TAFE in Ringwood that offers a setup where you can do the CCNA course and then sit the exam after. And I said, well, I'm not going to do this. And he's like, you're gonna? And I passed. I went to RMIT for TAFE, as I said before, got involved in the world skills competitions for cloud computing, but they also do run they run 2 others for IT. They run a cybersecurity and an IT network sysadmin one as well. What's World Skills, you might be asking? It's a competition for TAFE/vet sector skills in Australia and the world. Everything from IT to trades to hairdressing. The format, you start at a regional competition, then a national one. The international one's usually hosted every 2 years in another country. Regional competitions are for the title of Best in State, Nationals, Best in the Nation, and then the international obviously is Best in the World at your skill. This is me, by the way, in case you didn't know, which you probably didn't because I doubt how many of you have met me before. The cloud computing competition in particular is run by World Skills and Amazon Web Services. It is a sort of associated because they run that, but they also sponsor it as well, so thank you to them for that. AWS will usually supply test projects involving a wide variety of services. I mean, we had some ECS, Lambdas, CloudFormation. I believe in the Dublin one we had, what was it? I think there was some code pipeline, DynamoDB. There was also a lot of EKS and ECS focused stuff. IAM, your basic services, then they'll throw some different categories, maybe some DevOps. There's also some infra, networking, security stuff as well. Whoever gets the most points on the days wins the competition. Regionals is usually 1 day, nationals 3, internationals about 3 or 4. AWS will also run the AWS Jam or game days on those to solve a bunch of specific problems. So this is more in relation to the formatting of the competition. So they'll have some days where you basically got the Jam, which they'll run, which is basically solve all these problems with the least amount of hints and you win the most points. So you get deducted points if you use hints in the game. Obviously, the judges can't help you with those hints, but the game has built-in hints. Then they have projects, which will basically be like, here's a criteria, do it to the best of your ability. Whoever does it the best of their ability is the winner and gets the most points. And yes, that is me in the blue shirt. The competitor on the left is the Brazilian competitor. And then I think over there might be the French or Polish competitor. I won the regionals and nationals through World Skills. So I won Best in Nation and State at AWS Cloud Computing. Also in May, I went to the Technological University of Dublin, TU Dublin, to compete in that competition, the practice one, for the French international one, which is in Lyon. What have I been working on as part of this? So I've done this is sort of some of the stuff I've been doing. There's 3 AWS Academy courses, which usually will bridge into a certification. So cloud developing leads into the AWS Developer Associate, which is the next one I want to do. The AWS Cloud Operations leads into the AWS SysOps Admin Associate. Assignments that I've also been provided via TAFE Queensland, where my coach is from, is the VU 23224 assignment. That's actually a certificate for in cyber assignment. But what it is, it's like the cloud security plan. It was a bit more theoretical than what I've liked, to be honest. But hey, it helped at the end of the day. We also got the implement in cloud infrastructure with code one. That one was a lot of fun because I'm a DevOps guy. I like that stuff. Build, maintain, and deploy cloud infrastructure was another TAFE Queensland assignment. So these ones here with these unit codes are TAFE unit codes. You can actually search them publicly. Every TAFE office is like the standard government training thing. I also did AT5, Assessment Task 5, which is like a load balancing, auto scaling, and monitoring with like CloudWatch and stuff. This is one thing I did. So this came to me pretty much like that. The assignment instructions were to sort of add a couple minor things to it. So this is a cloud security diagram for that certificate 4 and cybersecurity one. Assignment, and I added a WAF, basically the dedicated RDS. I moved into a private subnet. The assignment was pretty much given to me as, this is an architecture that's wrong. Fix it and make it look better. One of the first things I noticed that was really wrong with it is that there was an RDS, there was no dedicated RDS, sorry. It was running on an EC2 instance publicly, and that was it. Database and app were running on that. My theory was, why wouldn't we just have a private RDS? Security's better, access would be better, decoupling sort of stuff. It just didn't make sense. I'm sure we all know don't run an EC2 in the database with a public web application on it. Don't run your database publicly full stop if you ask me. So that was that one. Now, I'm going to be honest. This is code I wrote that I hate. And I'm going to explain why in the next slide. This was sort of given to me as a template. I modified a lot of this. It's the ICT CLD 505. This is the IAC infrastructure as code assignment that I was given. It's a basic PHP web service with a back-end database, et cetera, et cetera. So it's running like an MVC application. I don't like that code. And the next slide sort of states that this is training, and I'll explain what I would do next time to improve it. So we've got a web app instance being deployed via CloudFormation with a user data script, which again, I'll explain. I don't really like having it in the same file. I've basically gone in there. There was plain text passwords. As you can see, put that as a variable through Secrets Manager. Actually, was it through Secrets Manager? No, it's not. But I'll explain that one in a sec. There's a username, DB address, which comes from a ref value from the RDS's endpoint address. We're just getting the Git repository and unzipping that, going to the folder, doing all that user data stuff to basically get it over there. What could be improved from the last slide's work? Based off what I did, I think more values, instance type, AMI IDs could have been placed as parameters. This was also fairly rushed, to be honest. And the user data could have been placed in a separate file. I think that was a big one. I noticed a lot of stuff I did seen before is basically you'll have a user data in a separate file for that. But again, the beauty of this training is you can make mistakes. If this was perfect, what's the point of me doing it? Sort of thing, is what I reckon. And then you learn that before you go to a real competition, and then you can be as perfect as you want. This was another thing I set up. This was for another assignment. This was I had to set up an ECS cluster for this assignment and run load balancing and stuff behind it and that stuff. I set up CloudFront as a content delivery network, running a little just dummy React app that runs there. Attach it to an ALB, use CloudFront as a content delivery network. And that was sort of this one. Also ran the ECS cluster on EC2 for this instance, just for this particular assignment. That was the instruction. And I was going to do it as ECS. He said, no, don't. So, ow. We'll have questions at the end. But look, I wanted to mention a couple more things. So, as I said before, I'm part of the Cocoa Heads group. Not going to, I probably shouldn't, but I highly recommend if you're interested in that, coming to that too. But also what I would like to mention is one of my teachers at Swinburne sort of got me involved in user groups as a whole. So he told me, come to the Cocoa Heads one. I quite like that. So now I came to this one as well, the AWS user group. The AWS user group I like as well. I think it's a really great way to network and just chat about AWS and stuff. I've done a lot more stuff. If you want to see it, you can message me on Slack. I'd be happy to show you. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can scan that, or there's a link there if you don't trust me with the QR code. Doesn't it? Oh, it might have expired. Well, we can chat later if you want to add me. That's fine. But yeah, that's me. My sort of future is I want to head into that researchy lecturing side. Some people call me crazy for it, but hey, I guess we all want to do our own things. And thank you very much. I'll take some questions if anyone's got any. I knew a little bit of Azure, but not AWS at that point. I learned it pretty much from scratch over a course of a couple of months.
So actually got on the day of you actually know nothing or know very little about AWS?
No, by the day of the actual competition, I knew a lot because effectively the timeline was I did some Azure stuff before. 2 months probably before it is when I started learning it. So coming into the day of the competition, I would have done a couple of those AWS Academy courses. It depends, that would have been the first competition, the state level, which I did cloud foundations and cloud architecting. No,
I actually supervised the World Skill in Hong Kong. The kids went there. They literally, you can watch them. They solve the problems, and they watch YouTube to learn all scaling, and then they implement it, and then there's some of them on. And
Okay.
and I was told that if they come from China, they train them early on, and every time they want the world skill, they get like $15,000 or something like that.
I wish I was that lucky.
And a lot of people just they do air conditioning, otherwise the air conditioning.
Yep, their skills as well.
Yeah. But that's a way to make money.
Thanks. Yeah, we'll take another question. Yep.
I didn't see an NES thing. I just saw Super Nintendo. Where's the straight up Nintendo itself?
Don't have one. I know I do. I got to get so many. I've got too many already. My dad keeps saying. 2006, 7, I think it came out. Cool. Cool. Anyone, any other questions? Yep.
You have a favorite retro computer game?
Half-Life. I love how this was an AWS thing and everyone's just asking video game questions. Look, if we're going,
Older than you.
Half-Life is older than me. But look, I actually would say Mario 64 for a console thing. You got any AWS question? Like, come on.
Yeah, let's leave the other questions for after.
Cool.
I shall happily talk about video games outside, but yeah, as you said, anything for AWS or the competition?
Obviously you're looking at doing a few AWS certifications. What are your other? Is there anything else that you're sort of interested in, or sort of projects that you're thinking about AWS related?
There's one project I want to build. It's partly got AWS for the infra and ops side, but the actual app itself is actually in mobile, so it's written in Flutter. Because I've been going to the Cocoa Head group and partly the GDG do the coding night with the Cocoa Heads. And I was sort of, I should be using Swift, but then I was like, yeah, Flutter's good too. So I've been sort of learning a bit of Flutter and I'm trying to build like just chat apps and stuff and run on AWS CloudFormation through it, run those scripts to deploy it via our code pipeline and stuff. That's sort of one thing I was learning to do as well. Yep.
Are you looking at any AWS like ML services or SageMaker? Like, what are you looking out for?
In terms of this competition?
Yeah.
Not at this point, to be honest. I think we're all a bit sick of generative AI anyway, aren't we? Nah, look, I haven't touched a lot of that stuff yet. A lot of the competitions have mainly been focused around EC2, ECS, like the core services with some security networking databases. There's some DevOps stuff in there too. Code pipeline, there's some Lambdas. I don't think they've touched that yet. I'm not sure. I have to, yeah, they haven't used that yet. I'm positive they have not touched that. I haven't learnt it either at this stage. I'd be open to learning it, so maybe I'll have a look when I get home.
Anything else? No? Cool. Thank you very much, Dylan. Then that brings us to the end of the evening. First, so I promised at the start, marketplace segment. Is anybody looking to hire people? So raise your hand and bring a microphone. You?
Hi everyone, I'm Daniel. Nab, if you are a current student or working or looking to start your career, NAB has the StarCamp initiative running at the moment. Applications close soon. So if you are starting a career or know someone who wants to move into tech, StarCamp at NAB is open currently. So we are looking at hiring about 20 new tech interns. So yes, it's that one.
Cool. Thanks for that, Dan. And of course, if you join them, you'll technically be sponsoring this meetup. So that's a plus. Anybody else, or is the job market really that bad? Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Well, in that case, I want to thank once again our sponsors, Mentor Group, CIVA, and NAB, for their support in running this meetup. And of course, to thank all of you for coming, and especially our two speakers, Kate and Dylan, for giving two interesting talks. Our next meetup will be, as always, on the last Wednesday of the month. That is in August the 28th. So with that, thank you all for coming. Hang around for a couple more minutes. I still see a couple of boxes of food. Anything that isn't taken away will be thrown away, unfortunately. So if you want them for your lunch or something tomorrow, grab one and take it home. And that's it. Thank you all for coming.